who's got the best material on the radio for you? It's me, Howard Riell, Riell Truth. I'm going to dispense with the usual spiel today. This is the Bill Maher Show from June 2015, just about a year ago, just when the Republican primaries were starting up. He's got several panelists next to him. Of course, the show and its panelists and the audience, all liberal. And then he's got Ann Coulter next to him. He's about to ask Ann Coulter a question, and when she answers, listen to what happens. Here we go.
Okay, here we are. Ann, which Republican candidate has the best chance of winning the general election?
Of the declared ones, right now, Donald Trump.
What about of all of them?
Uproarious laughter. Donald Trump win? Are you crazy? The liberals in the audience laughed their asses off. But it's kind of Ann Coulter who has the last laugh, right? All the liberals who were laughing in retrospect were fools, right? Ann Coulter proved she was smarter than the entire audience, right? Right. That's how dialed in liberals are. And by the way, because they're ignoramuses, they will heap abuse, or try to at least, on people who really do have a clue. So everybody in the world is going off on Donald Trump, including empty vessels like Bush and Romney and Ryan and George Will and Bill Kristol and McCain, National Review. They all don't have a clue. What is Trump promising to do? He's going to build a wall to stop the flow of drugs into the U.S. and deport illegals of every race and nationality. He's going to end sanctuary cities, going to get a handle on Muslim immigration, which is ravaging Europe. He's going to end Obamacare, replace it with health savings accounts. He's going to send education back to the states and eliminate Common Core. He's going to build up the military, take care of our veterans. He's going to defeat ISIS. He's going to do this spending less money. He's going to cut waste. He's going to balance the budget, protect the Second Amendment. He's going to stand by Israel. He's going to be pro-life. He's going to improve trade. He's going to end the Iran deal. He's going to choose an Originalist and a Constitutionalist for the Supreme Court. He's going to take Iran's oil away from them, and he's going to update and improve NATO and get the people who haven't been paying their fair share to pay. Now, if you're going to tell me there's anything wrong with what I just told you, I'm going to tell you you'd be comfortable in another country. This is Riell Truth, and we'll be right back.
Dedicate themselves to our country. Let us honor those who have lost their lives in the line of duty and salute those who serve today. This reminder from Slotsky's Deli at 4212 South College Avenue in Fort Collins. Check out daily specials or call for delivery. 970-226-1711. That's 970-226-1711. Great people, great food, great service. Call today. Slotsky.
It's Monday, all right? Nothing I can do about that. But at least I can make Monday better. This is Howard Riell. The show is called Riell Truth. Now you're asking yourself, Who the hell is Howard Riell to pontificate about who should win the presidency? Who is Howard Riell to talk about who will win the presidency? Riell's been on this radio station for 7.5 years, never been paid a penny, small audience. What does he know? Well, my friends, you might just be right. So my job then is to give you someone you will believe who says exactly what I say. Now, is there someone, a name you might recognize in talk radio, you might conceivably have heard of, who's saying exactly what I'm saying? Oh yeah, there is one. Guy by the name of Rush Limbaugh.
But my instinctive feeling right now is that Trump is going to win, beat Hillary badly, that it could be landslide proportions.
Stop! I take you back to Ann Coulter on the Bill Maher show. And who do you think's going to win? Donald Trump? Explosion of laughter. Only the people laughing turn out to have been fools. Well, I've been saying for a long time that not only will Donald Trump beat Hillary, but that it will be a landslide. And when I say it, I get basically the same reaction Ann Coulter got on that video clip. People chuckle. Yeah, right. Well, here's Rush Limbaugh, $25 million a year, Rush Limbaugh, the most successful radio talk show host in history, a man to whom the people in the Beltway listen, the president, Congress listen to what Rush Limbaugh is saying. He's saying what I'm saying. So there's no difference between him and me. Okay, except maybe, $25 million a year. Let's listen to some more.
I still don't think people understand why Trump won this. I don't think they understand at all the reason people support Trump. And the deeper people are entrenched in politics, and the more they are accustomed to the templates and the handbooks and the theories and the playbooks, the less they're going to understand it. The more they try to plug Donald Trump and his campaign and his personality into the professional politician candidate playbook that they use, the farther and farther from the truth they are going to get. I've tried to help. During the course of this entire campaign, I've gone to great lengths to try to explain to people what it is about Trump, why he has his supporters, why they support him, and what you'd have to do to separate them from Trump. Basically, you can't. That's the bottom line. There's nothing any professional politician, everybody that thought they knew how to beat a candidate through everything they had at Trump. I mean, the negative ads that they ran against him, these never Trump guys and their PACs in all these states, Indiana alone, the amount of money spent on negative ads against Trump, and it didn't work. And in their world, negative ads always work. So they're out there scratching their heads today. You've got never Trump people saying, I said I was never going to vote for Trump, but I'm never going to vote for Trump, and I mean it. You got some people thinking about looking for a third-party candidate. Others, it's a matter of honor. It's a matter of principle to never vote for Trump. But they're caught between that and Hillary Clinton becoming president. And we're back to, well, let's let Hillary win. Let's let people find out how bad it is. I'm tired of that. We already know how bad it is. We know how bad it is with Hillary. We know how bad it is with Bill Clinton. We know how bad it is with Barack Hussein. We know how bad it is with the American left. We don't need any more instruction. We don't need any more lessons. And by the way, leaving it to the American people to figure out hasn't worked out well either, has it? Somebody's going to have to tell them how bad it is. I mean, they instinctively know things are not great, but look at the millennials. My point is, the millennials, they think the country's seen its best days. They don't blame the Democrats for it. Because nobody tells them, nobody explains to them that the reason they are in great suffering and have, in their own minds, no future is because the Democrat Party left-wing policies. But nobody tells them that. So they are left to assume that America is flawed. America was flawed from its founding, and all these flaws and all this racism, bigotry, hatred, all it's coming to the fore now, and America's caught up with itself, and this is sadly what some of these people think. So a guy comes along and doesn't make America great, identifies problems and then proposes solutions, doesn't hold back. It's not hard to figure any of this out. And against a message like Trump's, if your counter message is, I'm the most conservative guy running, that's not, even if you are, and even if you're good at it, it's not going to make a dent. Because none of this is about ideology right now. That's why everybody's talking about populism having overtaken conservatism. That hasn't happened, but at this moment in time it looks like it. In this particular set of circumstances, it looks like it. But there's any number of things. There's 17 people that tried. And Hillary Clinton's next up, and we shall see. Let's go to the...
That's correct. Rush is a genius. And since he's saying what I'm saying, does that mean I'm a genius? Of course not. I figured I'd give it a shot. Item from Fox News. House Speaker Paul Ryan opened the door Monday to stepping down as Republican convention chairman if asked by presumptive presidential nominee Donald Trump, whom Ryan has declined to endorse. Ryan first made the comments during a meeting with Milwaukee Journal Sentinel reporters. Unquote. Yes, Paul Ryan should take his candy ass out of public service. He is an autocrat. He's an oligarch. He doesn't give a rat's butt about the country. He just wants to feather his own nest. And if he's willing to leave, I say don't let the door hit you or the good Lord split you. Item from the Washington Examiner. Secretary of State John Kerry took a shot at Donald Trump during his Friday commencement speech at Northeastern University by saying no wall is big enough to keep dangerous terrorists out of the United States. Stop. John Kerry is an idiot. Now, I'm trying to be nuanced and subtle when I say that. He doesn't have the first idea. He's accomplished nothing in his life. He married 2 different women who had huge money. He's a fool. He's an ignoramus. Of course a wall would never work. I guarantee you that there's a wall somewhere around his house, like there's a wall around the Vatican, like there's a wall in Israel that works. No, but John Kerry says the wall won't work because he says we're now living in a borderless world. Well, my friends, if that's what John Kerry believes, then let him start walking and keep going. We'll be back. More Real Truth ahead.
I'm Joe Jaquin, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group, and I would like to encourage everyone to make sure they are prepared financially as the Federal Reserve continues to destroy the value of the dollar. Since the closing of the gold window in 1971, the Federal Reserve has led the way in the explosion of debt and the devaluing of your money. They openly say that they need 2% inflation, which simply means they hope to devalue your money, and they want to do this every single year, year after year. I know it's hard to understand, but the Federal Reserve believes in prosperity through debt and growth via the devaluation of your future. To learn more about how to protect yourself, visit us at allamericangold.com or call us at 800-951-0592 and protect yourself against the devaluing of your money. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld His glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. John bore witness of Him and cried out, saying, This was He of whom I said, He who comes after me is preferred before me, for He was before me. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 14 and 15. No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque or reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts, pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law, or law impairing the obligation of contracts, or grant any title of nobility. Article 1, Section 10.
Real Truth, Howard Real manning the microphone. right then. Now, for those of you who think I'm going to play a video with Donald Trump, you're sadly mistaken. I'm going to play one with Ivanka Trump, who is a brilliant young woman, and she's going to tell you about the candidate from the inside perspective. Here we go.
Speaking of Donald Trump, joining us now, Donald Trump's number one oldest daughter, Ivanka Trump, back here on the John Frederick Show, 8 3/4 months pregnant, and she's still married. Coming on the John Frederick Show at 7:50 a.m. Ivanka, that takes courage. Thanks for being with us.
Oh, no, my pleasure, John. How are you?
I tell you, we're fired up. You're going to have a big win on Saturday. My son, who's a college professor at the University of Nevada in Reno, says that your father's big in Nevada, so we're excited about that. That's on Tuesday, just off the town hall meeting he had yesterday. I'm going to go right now. We got about 5 minutes. I'm going to go to your dad at the town hall meeting yesterday on the Pope's comments. Pope Francis questioning that I was totally offended by those comments. Tell our audience, show their audience about the depth of your dad's faith and the role it plays in his life and your family's life, Ivanka.
Well, faith has been a cornerstone, of my father's life and something that he's, passed along to his children as well. So, and I think for him, I would say, from the unique perspective as a daughter, it's manifested itself the most in terms of how he chose to raise us, the values he chose to raise us with, the moral compass that he sought to instill in his children and his employees as a leader at an organization with tens of thousands of people. So he, whether within the context of our home or whether in the context of his business, he always led by example. And he led as in a very strong and clear way, and he did the right thing, and he taught us to do the right thing. So, I think that's really one of the stones of being a person of faith, and he's been highly consistent in that regard his whole life.
Well, I think he has also, and look, I think when religious leaders weigh in...
And incidentally, he was just calling me on the other line to say hello, but...
Well, tell him you're
John.
Tell me you're on with us, right? I know. You should comment something.
Despite working together all day long, we tend to speak to each other in the morning and the evenings.
Well, you'll have to tell him that you preempted him to be on the John Frederick Show. He would certainly understand that, right? No question. So I've only got a couple more minutes, and I know you have to take off. One thing that just struck me last night is your father said last night on CNN in the town hall meeting that he loves to eat fast food of all things, McDonald's, Burger King, Hardee's. So I got a chuckle out of that because he doesn't really strike me as a fast food type of guy. So here's my question. Were the kids allowed to eat fast food growing up?
We were. So that was not one of the areas he was extra rigorous about. So he let us partake, whether it be at baseball games or where we did not particularly hold back in terms of our food consumption or the occasional McDonald's trip. It wasn't sort of a mainstay of our childhood diet for sure. It was a special treat, but we definitely had a few more than a few Happy Meals.
Well, that's good. You got those Happy Meals going on.
As a daughter, though, now as I'm able to reprimand him a little bit on this front because he's kept the habit going. I try to steer clear of fast food as much as I can.
In your campaign, I don't know where I was. What are the debates? Charleston, Cleveland, I forget, Milwaukee, but somebody was telling me that you were really on your father that week for his eating habits, that you were concerned that he was not eating properly, and I don't even know who it was. It was Hope or something.
Now it's like role reversal, right?
Yeah, role reversal.
Now that I'm a parent myself, but no, it's amazing. He is up at 4 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, starting to work. He's giving multiple rallies a day, speeches a day. He's interviewing with, really, again, speaking with some of the best and brightest people in the country, throughout the course of the day. And then he's going at night and addressing crowds of 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 people.
That's pretty amazing. Ivanka,
he's definitely heating around the edges.
Ivanka, I'm getting to the top of the hour. We're out of time. I want to thank Ivanka Trump for being with us. Tell your father I said hi. We'll see you next time. Good luck Saturday. This is the John Fredericks Radio Network.
Now, compare this with Chelsea Clinton. I read accounts of the things that she says and the way that she acts, and she's a dummy. She's a dummy. Because she comes from low-life parents. When you see someone like Ivanka Trump, who appears to be a sterling individual, it tells you about where she came from. Item. From the New York Times, Donald J. Trump said he would not rule out an effort to remove Representative Paul Ryan as chairman of the Republican National Convention if he did not endorse Mr. Trump's candidacy. Mr. Trump stopped short of calling for Mr. Ryan, the Speaker of the House, to step down from his convention role, but in an interview that aired Sunday on NBC's Meet the Press, Mr. Trump said there could be consequences in the event that Mr. Ryan continued withholding his support. I will give you a very solid answer if that happens about 1 minute after that happens. Okay, Mr. Trump said, there's no reason to give it right now, but I'll be very quick with the answer. Mr. Trump has shown little interest over the last few days in placating his critics inside the party, including Mr. Ryan. Mr. Ryan, a representative from Wisconsin, said on Thursday he was not ready to endorse Mr. Trump, citing reservations about his political style and policy agenda. The two men are scheduled to meet privately in Washington next week, meaning this week, unquote. My friends, tens of millions of people have not voted for Paul Ryan. If you showed Paul Ryan's picture to the average American, they'd go, huh? The country is behind Donald Trump, who is the putative leader of the Republican Party. And so, if Paul Ryan has some reluctance when it comes to supporting him, Paul Ryan can drag himself out of the Washington Beltway and go to work in a mall someplace selling shoes. But if he's going to try and sabotage Donald Trump's candidacy, A, he's going to fail, and B, he's going to end up just like Mitt Romney, one of the most hated people in the country. And deservedly so. Item from USBreakingNewsFeed.com. American entertainer and radio talk show host Rush Limbaugh. Stop! Let me give you a lesson in the media, my friends. You know, I've been a journalist for 37 years, and this is how they do it. Not we do it, because I don't do it, but this is how some of my colleagues do it. They don't want you to give any gravity to what Rush Limbaugh is going to say. So right from the very beginning, they identify him as an entertainer. I never thought of Rush Limbaugh as an entertainer. He's a news analyst. He's a pundit, not an entertainer. Entertainer makes him sound like a clown playing a bar mitzvah. So be hip to that kind of stuff. Item from the Wall Street Journal. Just days after his last two rivals quit the presidential race, Donald Trump's effort to choose vice president is beginning to take shape and could provoke the ire of conservatives in the party. While rank-and-file conservatives are searching for a signal that Mr. Trump shares their values, Ben Carson, former GOP rival, now helping the presumptive Republican presidential nominee pick a running mate, said Thursday Democrats may be among those considered. Stop! My friends, Trump has weighed in since Ben Carson said this. And he said very clearly and emphatically that no, he will not select a Democrat as a running mate. And I think that's a wise move. Item from CNN Dateline DC. Former Vice President Dick Cheney will support Donald Trump, he told CNN Friday. An important move as the presumptive Republican nominee is encountering intense resistance from senior members of his own party. Cheney told CNN special correspondent Jamie Gangel that he has always supported the GOP nominee and will do so this year as well. The announcement makes Cheney one of the few Republican Party leaders to announce their support of Trump and comes a day after House Speaker Paul Ryan told CNN he's, quote, just not ready to back Trump. Item from truthandaction.org. Trump has been accused of not having specifics and only reiterating his catchphrase, we're going to make America great again, leaving those who hear his bombast annoyed at the lack of clarity of platform. However, his 7-point healthcare reform is getting rave reviews even from those who made the Never Trump pledge. Trump's Make America Great Again webpage states Obamacare must be repealed and replaced. He promises on day one of the Trump administration he'll ask Congress to repeal the bill. Obamacare will collapse of its own weight, states the website. Because of this, it must be utterly repealed, and Congress, both Democrats and Republicans, must lead the effort to bring much-needed free market reforms to the healthcare industry. Here are the 7 points from the Trump website. See what you think about his proposed course of action. It's certainly better than the alternative, #Hillary Care. 1. Completely repeal Obamacare. Our elected representatives must eliminate the individual mandate. No person should be required to buy insurance unless he or she wants to. Number 2, modify existing law that inhibits the sale of health insurance across state lines. As long as the plan purchase complies with state requirements, any vendor ought to be able to offer insurance in any state. By allowing full competition in this market, insurance costs will go down and consumer satisfaction will go up. Number 3, allow individuals to fully deduct health insurance premium payments from their tax returns under the current tax system. Businesses are allowed to take deductions, so why wouldn't Congress allow individuals the same exemptions? As we allow the free market to provide insurance coverage opportunities to companies and individuals, we must also make sure no one slips through the cracks simply because they can't afford insurance. We must review basic options for Medicaid and work with states to ensure that those who want health care coverage can have it. 4, allow individuals to use health savings accounts. Contributions to HSAs should be tax-free and should be allowed to accumulate. These accounts would become part of the estate of the individual and could be passed on to heirs without fear of any death penalty. These plans should be particularly attractive to young people and who are healthy and can afford high-deductible insurance plans. These funds can be used by any member of a family without penalty. The flexibility and security provided by HSAs will be of great benefit to all who participate. 5, require price transparency from all healthcare providers, especially doctors and healthcare organizations like clinics and hospitals. Individuals should be able to shop to find the best price for procedures, exams, or any other medical-related procedure. 6, block grant Medicaid to the states. Nearly every state already offers benefits beyond what's required in the current Medicaid structure. The state governments know their people best and can manage the administration of Medicaid far better without federal overhead. States will have the incentive to seek out and eliminate fraud, waste, and abuse to preserve our precious resources. Item. From abcnews.gov, a federal judge ruled today Hillary Clinton may have to give a deposition in the case of her use of private email. The statement is another turn in the Freedom of Information Act lawsuit between conservative group Judicial Watch and the State Department, in progress at the U.S. District Court in Washington, D.C. Judge Emmett G. Sullivan issued an order today saying it may be necessary for the plaintiff to seek a deposition from the former Secretary of State as part of the discovery process. The case ultimately seeks to determine whether or not the State Department complied fully with Judicial Watch's request for all relevant employment records of Ms. Huma Abedin, one of Clinton's longtime aides. Unquote. My friends, I tip my hat to Judicial Watch. They are doing a lot of the great work that the federal government should be doing, but the federal government simply isn't doing. They are holding Hillary's feet to the fire, and that's exactly what needs to happen, because she's got a lot of things that are either borderline or illegal. And before she gets her hands on the greatest power any individual can have in this world, we need to make sure that we're not sending a criminal to the White House. And so, again, I applaud Judicial Watch for vetting Hillary so completely and showing the world, well, let's be honest, what a piece of trash she is. We'll take a break. Riell Truth marches on.
What are the points of people in it? How can we, the people, bring it back to the people's servants, not the people's masters? Liberty Forum and the Freedom Riders say officials in government must be made accountable for their actions. AccountabilityRevolution.com is
is the place to go to learn how you can actually make that happen. Become their judges, not their slaves. AccountabilityRevolution.com. Great Plains Power has been providing reliable electrical power systems in the Rocky Mountain area since 1992. Our systems rely on the sun to help make you self-reliant for your power needs. Solar energy can be scaled to fit any situation, from complete power independence to backup power for the short term. Our expertise focuses on standalone power, but we have extensive experience with utility interactive systems as well. Custom-tailored capabilities as modest as emergency lighting all the way to commercial-scale power. Great Plains Power is a full-service company. We service everything we sell. We provide and design turnkey packages, custom design system, and parts for do-it-yourself. With more than 20 years of specialized experience at your disposal, let us know what your power concerns or goals are. Reach us by phone or the internet. Call 303-239-9963. That's 303-239-9963. Or go to GreatPlainsSolar.com. Now this is the testimony of John when the Jews sent priests and Levites from Jerusalem to ask him, "Who are you?" He confessed and did not deny, but confessed, "I am not the Messiah." And they asked him, "What then? Are you Elijah?" He said, "I am not." "Are you the prophet?" And he answered, "No." The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 19 through 21.
Duplicity.
Article 4. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall be issued but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the places to be searched and the persons or things to be seized.
Piccolo's restaurant in Denver reminds us that over 750,000 children were reported missing last year. Over 58,000 of these were abducted by non-family members. Keep an eye out for youngsters at play, and if you see anything suspicious, contact the authorities immediately. This message from Piccolo's restaurant in Denver is not only the best Italian and Mexican cuisine, it's the people who care. Give them a call at 303-757-5166. 303-757-5166. Piccolo.
Welcome back to Riell Truth. You know, I am not the only one who thinks Paul Ryan made a terrible... I am not the only one who thinks Paul Ryan made a dreadful mistake in running his fat mouth and saying he couldn't support Donald Trump. Here's Sean Hannity on Fox News interviewing a guy I think should be Trump's vice presidential pick, Newt Gingrich, former Speaker of the House. Let's listen in.
Former Speaker of the House, Fox News contributor Newt Gingrich is with us. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, and I can't imagine any place in the country with a bigger gap in attitude than West Virginia, where Hillary Clinton has been heartless in her willingness to lay off workers, destroy towns, and wipe out an entire industry on behalf of, an ideological theory.
I had the coal worker who confronted her on last night. So cavalierly, I'm going to destroy the coal industry. I'm going to take away the jobs of the coal miners. Before I get back to policy, I want to start. We had, seems almost coordinated. Both Bushes have declined to endorse Donald Trump. Mitt Romney saying that he will not go to the convention this year. And then we have Paul Ryan saying the following when asked if he would endorse Donald Trump.
Now you have a presumptive nominee, Donald Trump. Will you support him?
Well, to be perfectly candid with you, Jake, I'm just not ready to do that at this point. I'm not there right now. And I hope to, though, and I want to. But I think what is required is that we unify this party. And I think the bulk of the burden on unifying the party will have to come from our presumptive nominee.
So you get what this jackass is saying? The country has chosen Trump. He has dominated the primary season like no other GOP candidate in history. gotten more votes than any GOP candidate ever. And here's little Paul Ryan, who snuck into his position when no one was looking. He says it's Trump who's got to change. Trump, who's been wildly, unimaginably successful, he needs to change. Not Paul Ryan. Do you get the overweening, crushing arrogance of the squirt? Let's listen.
I don't want to underplay what he accomplished. He needs to be congratulated for an enormous accomplishment, for winning not now a plurality of delegates, and he's on his way to winning a majority of delegates. But he also inherited something very special. That's very special to a lot of us. This is the party of Lincoln, of Reagan, of Jack Kemp. And we don't always nominate a Lincoln and a Reagan every 4 years. But we hope that our nominee aspires to be Lincoln and Reagan-esque. That person advances the principles of our party and appeals to a wide, vast majority of Americans.
And of course you have Bill Kristol, he's never Trump. George Will is calling for Republicans to defeat Trump in all 50 states. And I'm going to give you a lot of time to respond to this. And this was National Review online. The party of Lincoln is in ruins. A minority of its primary voters have torched its founder's legacy by voting for a man who combines old-school democratic ideology, a bizarre form of hyper-violent isolationism, fringe conspiracy theories, and serial lies with an enthusiastic flock of online racists to create perhaps the most toxic electoral coalition since George Wallace. Then to add insult to injury, multiple GOP leaders bulldozed the ashes by issuing nauseating calls for unity, foremost among them Reince Priebus, who will be on later. Reince, you should resign rather than spending one more ounce of personal energy supporting a reprehensible man. Well, I'm not ready to support Speaker Ryan anymore. I'm thinking maybe we need a new speaker. Thoughts?
Well, first of all, that last section, the pseudo-intellectual right-wingers who have made a living in Washington, D.C. being brilliant, while they alienated the entire American people, are showing you by their hysteria the degree to which they're being repudiated, and they're just absolutely don't know what to do. I mean, the country has looked at their lack of achievement, their lack of effectiveness, and has said no. And they're literally almost a state of psychological hysteria that is kind of mildly amazing. In the case of the two Bushes and Romney, I was one of Romney's competitors in 12. What do you think Mitt would have said if I'd gotten up and said, I'm not going to support you? I supported George H.W. Bush even though I was a Reagan supporter and a Kemp supporter. What do you think George H.W. Bush would have said if I'd gotten up and said, I'm not going to support you? Now, there's something wrong here when these folks who the Republican Party has done a lot for. Let's be clear. The Bushes, the Romneys, the Republican Party has been pretty darn good to them. And they owe a little bit to the party and the people who make up that party beyond their own being above it all. In the case of Paul Ryan, he made a big mistake today, and then he needs to understand this. He is the Speaker of the House. He has an obligation to unify the party. He has an obligation to reach out. Obviously, he and Donald Trump are going to have disagreements. Some of them they'll work out. Some of them they won't. That's fine. Our Constitution provides that speakers and presidents can fight, but I think he sends the wrong signal, and a signal which I think endangers the House Republicans and sure endangers the Senate Republicans. I much prefer what Mitch McConnell did, what John McCain did. They both said, okay, game's over, we have a nominee, I'm for him. And I think Paul Ryan has some obligation institutionally to be responsive to the fact that the people of the party he belongs to have chosen a nominee. And frankly, in the long history of American politics, Donald Trump is not outrageously outside the norm. This kind of vitriol you get does not reflect accurately people who've been nominated for president over the last 200 years.
Absolutely right. And Paul Ryan is just another flunky politician who thinks he's smarter than everybody else. In reality, he's not. Item from BizPackReview.com. Washington, D.C. lobbyists are actually helping Donald Trump boost his outsider street cred. In a new report by The Hill, a number of Republican insider lobbyists admitted they're pulling their hair out over the idea of a potential Donald Trump presidency. A lot of people woke up on Wednesday and went, oh gosh, this isn't a dream. said Jeff McKinnon, lobbyist out of D.C. I don't think downtown was really prepared for it happening so quickly. It did catch people off guard. It's not the end of the world in Washington. For every action, there's an overreaction, McKinnon said. You can't just ignore it. Politics is a moment in time. This is the job we chose, and this is the moment we're in. Another lobbyist who worked formerly for establishment types and supported former Governor Jeb Bush in the GOP primary said, quote, as a Republican, I'm depressed, unquote. My friends, his depression makes me happy, and it should make you happy. Who are these people? They're lobbyists. They're the backroom people. They're the money under the table people. They're the screw the American people. I'm giving you hard cash on the barrelhead, so you're going to do what I say, not what they say. That's who lobbyists are. And they hate Donald Trump. And they're scared of Donald Trump. Why? Well, the same reason a bunch of cockroaches run when you turn on the light. Because then they can be seen for what they are, and then they're vulnerable. So these scummy cockroach type people are afraid and they're angry because they're easy living. Their millions of dollars just for being sneaky and sleazy are being taken away from them. Now they may have to go out and get an honest job for a living. The scarier they are of Donald Trump, the better off you and I are. I'll be back with more. Stay tuned.